The story begins on a quiet Sunday morning in Savannah, Georgia. 70-year-old Walter Briggs, a retired Army combat instructor, is sitting on his usual park bench eating a turkey sandwich. He is a man of quiet dignity, with a calm demeanor and observant eyes. A police cruiser pulls into the park, and Officer Ron Carter, a cop with a reputation for being overly aggressive, steps out. Carter immediately fixates on Walter, approaching him with an air of authority. He demands Walter's ID, accusing him of loitering. Walter, aware of his rights, calmly asks why he's being detained. Carter escalates the situation, and despite Walter's quiet warnings, he grabs Walter's arm and tries to cuff him. Unbeknownst to the officer, he has just made a grave mistake. In one fluid and precise movement, Walter, using his decades of combat training, strikes Carter's jaw. The officer falls to the ground, unconscious. The park goes silent, with a crowd of bystanders, many of whom are filming the event, staring in stunned disbelief. This single, clean strike, born out of rage but of self-defense, sets off a chain of events that will change everything. Walter calmly sits back down on the bench as the crowd watches, and the first sirens are heard approaching in the distance. The park fills with police and paramedics. The responding officers, seeing the video footage captured by the bystanders, hesitate to treat Walter like a criminal. He calmly explains that he was acting in self-defense, and the officers, noting the multiple eyewitnesses and the clear video evidence, allow him to leave without being cuffed. As Walter walks home, he is met by news vans and reporters, but he remains silent, disappearing into his quiet neighborhood. Back in his home, Walter ignores the flood of messages until he sees one from an old acquaintance, Colonel David West. Walter is a decorated war hero, a retired Army Master Sergeant, and a renowned combat instructor with 30 years of service. Meanwhile, the video of the incident has gone viral, and the public has dubbed him Park Bench Granddad and the Quiet Storm. Inside the police department, Ron Carter, with a dislocated jaw and a bruised ego, denies everything until he is shown the video. The police chief announces a formal investigation, but it's too late. Internet sleuths uncover Walter's military history, and the story shifts from a simple assault to a tale of a veteran forced to defend his dignity. Protests and rallies erupt in support of Walter. Just as the world begins to understand who he is, there's a knock at his door. It's Colonel David West, who looks at Walter and asks, "Brother, what the hell did you do?" Walter's response is simple and powerful. "What I had to." The day after the incident, news outlets and social media are abuzz with the story. Walter and Colonel West sit and have coffee, and Walter is told that his past is about to become public. As West predicted, military records, old training videos, and interviews with former students surface, revealing Walter's distinguished career. He is no longer just an old man on the bench. He is seen as a decorated soldier and a man of great discipline and restraint. His story becomes a symbol for veterans and minorities who have faced similar injustices. Later that afternoon, a nervous reporter from the Washington Post approaches Walter's home. Walter tells him, "I didn't hit him because I hate cops. I hit him because he forgot I was a man." The powerful quote is printed on front pages across the country, turning Walter into a national figure. The mayor of Savannah calls for a town hall meeting to address the mounting pressure. But before Walter decides to attend, another knock comes to his door. It's a woman named Tamika, a former student he trained in the Army over 2 decades ago. Now, a U.S. attorney, she warns Walter of the political maneuvering happening behind the scenes. She tells him that some people want to make an example of him, while others want to quietly bury the incident. Tamika offers to help him, determined to stand by his side and ensure that the truth comes out. Walter, with his usual calm, agrees to speak, but not for the media or the politicians. He will speak for those who never got to speak. Walter's story has ignited a national debate. It is no longer just about one punch, but about the systemic issues of race, dignity, and the treatment of veterans. Under immense public pressure, the mayor of Savannah announces a town hall meeting. Walter, with no script or lawyer by his side, agrees to speak. He walks alone to the microphone, his calm presence filling the room. He tells his story simply, without anger. He recounts his service to the country and how a police officer chose to see him as a problem, not as a man. He explains that his punch was not an act of hate, but of self-defense. He ends his speech by looking directly at the cameras and stating, "If you think I'm the only one with a story like this, you're not paying attention." His words resonate deeply with the nation. The clip of his speech goes viral, and the mayor of Savannah announces a new civilian oversight board for the police department. Meanwhile, a grand jury is convened to decide whether to charge Walter or Officer Carter. Walter and Tamika know this is not just a trial about a punch, but a trial of the system itself. They prepare for a legal battle that will test everything Walter stands for. The day after his speech, Walter receives a letter from a retired police officer who thanks him for reminding him of what the badge should stand for. The quiet validation gives Walter the strength to face what to come. The trial begins. The courthouse is packed with reporters and supporters, and the atmosphere is thick with anticipation. Walter, dressed simply but with dignity, sits in the front row with Tamika. Ron Carter is also present, looking bruised and diminished. The prosecution's case is weak. They try to portray Walter as an aggressor, but Tamika, during her cross-examination, repeatedly plays the now famous video. The footage clearly shows Carter's aggressive actions and Walter's calm, defensive response. Tamika challenges the jury to consider whether they would expect their own family members to stand by and be harmed. Walter takes the stand, speaking with the same quiet strength he demonstrated in the park. He calmly explains his actions, stating that he acted to stop an assault and that sometimes waiting isn't an option. When the prosecutor asks him why he didn't just comply, Walter's powerful response silences the room. "I didn't see a badge. I saw danger, and I ended it." His testimony is not about self-justification, but about a man's right to defend himself from unwarranted force. After the closing arguments, the jury deliberates. The jury returns after 2 hours. The foreman's announcement is brief but powerful. Not guilty. The courtroom erupts in cheers, tears, and a collective sigh of relief. Walter, however, remains calm, accepting the verdict with a quiet nod as if he had always known this would be the outcome. Outside the courthouse, the crowd celebrates, chanting his name, but Walter doesn't engage with the fanfare. He walks away, steady and unshaken. His courtroom victory makes headlines, but for Walter, the real fight is just beginning. The very next morning, he receives a formal invitation from the United States Congress to testify before the House Committee on Veterans Affairs and Public Safety Reform. Despite his dislike for the spotlight, he knows this is not about him anymore. It is about all the people who have been silenced before they had a chance to speak. With Tamika by his side, he travels to Washington, D.C. He enters the Capitol building with his same quiet strength, ready to face the powerful lawmakers. He knows that his voice on the stage could be the catalyst for real, lasting change. Walter and Tamika arrive in Washington, D.C. for his congressional testimony. He enters the hearing room alone, without a script or notes. His presence commands immediate respect. He begins by stating that he is not a politician or a public speaker, but a man who served his country and wanted to be left alone. He explains that Officer Carter refused to see my humanity, and I had to defend myself. He reminds the committee that the system is not broken, it was built this way. He speaks for every veteran who has been humiliated after their service, and he tells the room that he is not asking for special treatment, but equal protection. He concludes his powerful testimony by standing and declaring that he has been silent for a long time, but not anymore. Walter's testimony is hailed as one of the most powerful moments in modern congressional history. His words shake the political establishment, leading to a new wave of reforms and prompting other veterans to share their own stories. In Savannah, the mayor announces the formation of a civilian oversight board, and its first appointed member is Walter Briggs. His actions have created a ripple effect of change. A letter from the White House arrives, inviting him to a private meeting with the president. But Walter remains grounded, focused on the work ahead. Change is a slow, quiet process. But in the months following the trial and his testimony, the effects of